there's a fish. Oh yeah, nice fish. Came to life with a boat. We'll get him back in the water. That's a nice fish. Look at that. Look at that beauty. Orange trolling fly. You can't beat it. That was a trolling fly at like 2 feet. He hit it once, and he came back and he hit it again. Look at those big, beautiful rainbows. That's what trolling flies can do. You think trolling flies don't work? Well, think again. You need to grab a set of my trolling flies, get out on the water, and get ready to go big. Yes! Howdy folks, Cal Kellogg here. It is late fall. The trout are up on the surface, and they are hitting trolling flies. If you've been watching the channel, you've seen me catch some very nice fish recently on trolling flies, and I've been getting some viewer questions. In fact, I got a question from a guy down in Elk Grove. His name is Derek. He bought one of my sets of trolling flies, and he asked, you know, how do you rig trolling flies, and how do you store them? So this is going out to you, Derek, but hopefully some of you other guys will find this useful as well. Got my tackle box here, and I grabbed a couple things. I grabbed this box. Now, there's a bunch of flies in here. Take a look there. I'm not even going to open it up. There's flies in there. There's wiggle discs in there. There's bobber stops in there. There's a bunch of stuff in there. But this is my reserve assortment. This usually doesn't even come out on a fishing trip because I like to pre-rig my flies on leaders. So this is how I do it, and this is how I store my flies. I just got them all jumbled up here. I've been using this, so it's probably a mess inside. I've just got them in one of these big 1-gallon Ziploc bags, and let me just grab one of these deals here. I have all these random pieces of foam. This came in a camera box. This is actually a leader holder, a commercially available leader holder. And this is one of my favorites right here. This is actually a knee pad from Bare Bones Workwear. You're supposed to slip it into the knees on your Carhartt pants, so you kind of got like an internal built-in knee pad kind of deal going on. Well, I have the good strap-on knee pads in my garage because I have one bad knee, so I got those big plastic ones. My wife got me these, so I didn't use them for knee pads, but what I did is I cut little slots in there, you know, on either side. I measured 1 inch apart, and I cut slots in there, and that's where I wrap my leaders. So let's take a look at, oh, here's one of my favorite flies. So here's how I do this. I take my fly, and the fly is just hooked in there. But let me unwrap this and just show you how I have these. So let's say I'm out on the water and I decide, man, I got to use a rainbow pattern fly. So I don't go digging through my box and grab a fly and tie it on. I just grab my big Ziploc bag where I've got my selection of flies all rigged up. This leader here, this leader is 42 inches long. On the upper end, I have a small swivel. Sometimes I just have a loop, but in this case, I have a small swivel. 10-pound test fluorocarbon. I've been playing with different weight lines. I think 10-pound gives you the best mix of action and strength. You can use 8 too. I've gone down to 6. You get tremendous action with 6, but when I'm using a trolling fly, I'm looking specifically for big fish, and I don't go down to 6. 8-pound at the lightest. I prefer 10. When I start getting up into 12 and 15-pound test, it seems to kill the action on the fly a little bit. So I want maximum action, maximum strength. I've settled on 10. So that's what I use most of the time. As I said, this leader is 42 inches long. There is my wiggle disc right there. Now, I had been, on a lot of my rigging, putting a bobber stop between the fly and the disc. I haven't been doing that recently. I've noticed that just that little bit of space in there decreases the action a little bit. Now, sometimes that's not critical. In fact, I think most of the time it's not critical. But as I always say, fishing with confidence is super, super important. And when I have that bobber stop in there, it erodes my confidence, and I don't want that. It does give you the benefit of moving the wiggle disc away from the fly, and sometimes I do want that. But if I want that, it's easy to snap off that swivel, pull this off, put a bobber stop on there, tie another knot, and off you go. 9 times out of 10, probably 19 times out of 20, I want that disc sitting right on the nose of that fly. And that is triply true when I'm running some of my trolling flies that have the lead eyes. Let me give you an example of that. One of these guys right here. Wow, that's hard to hold. Jeez, if I had cold hands, that would have been really hard to hold. So this fly right here, which I absolutely killed on up at Lake Shasta this summer, trolling deep, this is one of my pink and white marabou flies, and it has the lead eyes on it. Now the lead eyes in combination with that wiggle disc, you get a very unique action, but you want that wiggle disc lying right on the nose of that hook. And I had one of these rigged up, but I ended up losing it at Lake Davis. I was catching fish on it, and I ended up catching a fish, hooking a fish, got tangled up in the weeds, and I snapped off. Not only did I snap off the fly, I snapped off the entire top shot on my lead core rig, and it was a major pain in the butt. So anyways, I don't have one of these rigged up, but this one's going to be in the starting lineup here very soon. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing this holiday weekend. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. I'm going to be re-rigging my stuff, adding some flies to my arsenal, just kind of getting ready for action to come. We have a bunch of inclement weather coming in. We got a lot of rain, a lot of snow, a lot of wind. I got family at my house, so when I'm not out on the water fishing, I'm going to be re-rigging stuff, and part of that is re-rigging my flies. So anyway, back to this leader. Once again, 42 inches long, 10-pound fluoro. It has the action disc on it right on the nose of the fly, and right here, my connection point there is a Palomar knot. And I tie these in my kitchen. I'm very particular. I sit there, I get the knot perfect, and if it's not a perfect knot, I cut it off, I go again. And my number 1 and number 2 baits this fall so far have been trigger spoons, trigger spoons, trigger spoons, and when I want to slow down, it's been trolling flies. I'm using some Arctic fox flies, I'm using some of my flies, I'm using some new flies you guys haven't even seen yet that I'm experimenting with. I've actually ordered some custom tied flies. As you know, I was a fly tyer for a long time. If you read my media, you know that. I spent about 10 years fly fishing exclusively. I've tied probably, well, I know I've tied at least 100,000 flies because I was tying 10,000 a year for a long time. So I have a lot of pretty well-founded ideas about flies. So I'm actually contracting to get some custom tied flies made, and then I want to have them replicated. One of the problems I've had with selling flies in the store is replication. I'll get a set of flies that I really like, then I don't have supply. Then I'll get some more flies I like, and I don't have supply. They're effective flies, but my fly kit's always changing, so I'm looking to change that. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at, Derek. 10-pound test, 42 inches long. I got the wiggle disc on there, quality Palomar knot, and I hook this on to a trolling swivel, and I'll run it off a downrigger that way. I'll top line it, I'll run it off lead core, whatever. I've caught fish as deep as 101 feet on flies this year. When I was up at Davis, I was catching fish 2 feet deep on flies up there. Orange flies were hot at Davis when I was up there. But that's kind of the size of it, and what I advise you doing, get some leader holders. I've tried those ones like you use for kokanee fishing, the round ones. Not super crazy about those because we're using a long leader, and it tends to make a leader with a bunch of little kinks in it, which is kind of pain in the rear, actually. So I like these pieces of foam, whether you get the commercial ones like this. I know I keep popping out of the frame, but you guys are used to that now. These commercial ones, they're cool, whatever. All it takes is a piece of foam though. So get a piece of foam, nice flat piece of foam, cut the little slots in it, wrap your leader on it, and you're ready to go. So you're out on the water, you say, oh man, I didn't catch anything on this white fly. Maybe I'll try a gold fly or a black fly or whatever fly you think you might want to want to give a try, they're all rigged, they're ready to go. Snap it on, get your gear in the water. Remember, the more time your fly is in the water and the less time you got the end of your line out of the water, the more fish you're going to catch. So anyway, I hope that helps, guys. I will see you out on the water. This is going to get real after Thanksgiving. After this weather, man, I'm going to be out on the water. I'm going to be catching a bunch of trout. I've been on a big trout binge, man. I've been on the big fish lately. I've been getting them on the trigger spoons, been getting them on the flies, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that trend is going to continue. Anyway, I'm Cal Kellogg. I'm signing off. I wish you guys a lot of success out on the water. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you're looking for fishing gear, jump on over to the Fish Hunt Shoot Production store. We got some holiday specials in there. We got rods and reels and this and that and everything else. So good gear at a fair price, stuff that I actually use. So get on over there. You guys have a great day, and I will catch you next time right here on YouTube.
FishHuntShoot.com offers a variety of tackle as well as rods and reels designed to get you on more and bigger fish. Check it out today at FishHuntShoot.com.